This is the final year. I mean, let's not beat around the bush. I mean, he's going to have somewhere between, I don't know, could always be your last fight, but 1 and 3 fights.
As the world eagerly anticipates the clash involving Anthony Joshua, Eddie Hearn has revealed shocking details, emphasizing that 2025 will mark the final year of Anthony Joshua's career. Meanwhile, as discussions heat up about what's to come in the heavyweight division, the stakes are higher than ever, with everyone sharing their insights. Spencer Oliver weighed in, offering his perspective. Firmly believing that the fight between Usyk and Dubois will take place, he went on to outline how he sees the landscape of these upcoming bouts. He even suggested that Anthony Joshua might find himself facing Joseph Parker.
So, I believe that we're going to get Alexander Usyk versus Daniel Dubois. I think that fight happens. I think the WBO title becomes vacant. The WBO interim champion is Joseph Parker. I think that Joseph Parker boxes Anthony Joshua. Derek Chisora is the mandatory challenger for Dubois' titles.
As news broke about Anthony Joshua's potential last chance, Simon Jordan also shared his perspective on what it really means. He supported Spencer Oliver's view that a fight between Joseph Parker and Anthony Joshua could very well happen. Additionally, Jordan weighed in on other potential matchups, including the much-discussed Fury versus Joshua bout. He mentioned that since Tyson Fury isn't making his way back into the ring anytime soon, it could be the perfect time for Anthony Joshua to claim a world title at his best when he eventually faces Joseph Parker in the future.
For Anthony Joshua to win a world title, I suspect, but ultimately the economics of the Fury-Joshua fight are the ones that sell. Fury's playing hide and seek with himself, managing the England soccer aid team, isn't he? So he doesn't appear up on a roster anytime soon. But I mean, I think Spencer's right. I think they'll engineer an opportunity for him to fight Joseph Parker.
Highlighting the importance of a fight between Joseph Parker and Anthony Joshua, Simon Jordan went as far as to describe the matchup as a potential dependent viewership. He asserted that while the Usyk versus Dubois fight might not draw a sellout crowd at Wembley, adding a high-profile clash between Joseph Parker and Anthony Joshua to the card would attract far more attention and ensure the show sells out. Jordan emphasized that the inclusion of this fight would make the event far more appealing to the public. He also expressed confidence that matchmakers would certainly pursue this bout, as it ticks all the boxes for everyone involved.
The public will not buy into selling out Wembley or something like that for Dubois versus Usyk. But they will buy into it if they've got Dubois versus Usyk with Parker versus Joshua as the undercard. That will sell out Wembley Stadium. That's potentially what they might make because it ticks all the boxes for everybody.
Backing Simon's statement, Spencer also voiced his opinion, stressing that Anthony Joshua is the main event draw. Simon further emphasized that a card featuring Anthony Joshua would never fail to sell out Wembley Stadium. Both Spencer and Simon have remained confident in their belief that the Usyk versus Dubois fight alone won't generate enough public interest. They argued that the addition of a fight between Anthony Joshua and Joseph Parker would be essential to ensure a successful sellout. While highlighting this, Jordan asserted that Anthony Joshua is at the center of all conversation, the standard by which everything is measured. He emphasized that no matter what people may say about him, Joshua remains unmatched when it comes to drawing a crowd at the box office.
That's a tougher sell for sure. I think that you need an AJ Parker on there as well. We had this good conversation, Talk Boxing show we was doing, and talking about this situation. I think you do need Parker versus Joshua on the undercard of that to sell.
Joshua.
Yeah.
Joshua, whatever people think and whatever they don't think of Anthony Joshua, he is the gold dust in conversations. He's raised the bar. Usyk is the best fighter, but Joshua is the best box office.
Echoing a similar opinion, Sam Jones highlighted how crucial it is to have Anthony Joshua on the fight card. He pointed out that although some people may not want to hear it, the reality is that Anthony Joshua remains the biggest name commercially in the heavyweight division. Jones acknowledged that while some may have lowered their expectations of Joshua, in his view, Joshua still possesses the same energy. He believes that whenever it's time to fight, Joshua has the ability to elevate the sport and generate significant earnings. Following Fury's retirement, Sam views Anthony Joshua as the biggest name in the heavyweight division, emphasizing that Joshua himself is the top draw and holds the complete freedom to choose who he wants to face.
Yeah, because Anthony Joshua is still the biggest name in the heavyweight division. Like, he is commercially. I know people don't like hearing that, but he is. Joshua's still that guy. He's still I could fight him and make the most money. Anthony Joshua can pick and choose who he wants to fight because he's the biggest draw. I know people don't, it's hard for people to process, But Anthony Joshua does the biggest numbers, draws the biggest crowds, has the biggest name. He's the biggest name in the heavyweight division. Not saying he's the best before all these idiots say, bah. He's the biggest name in the heavyweight division. Fury's retired. He's the biggest name in the heavyweight division.
Amidst these speculations, Eddie Hearn has revealed that 2025 may be the final year for Anthony Joshua's career. Sharing his thoughts, he emphasized that the rumors surrounding Joshua's future are true, and there's no need to beat around the bush. While not disclosing specific dates, Hearn confirmed that 2 to 3 fights are lined up for Anthony Joshua, and there's no doubt about it. He further asserted that their primary focus is to secure these fights for Joshua while ensuring that he is 100% ready when the time comes.
It is the final year. I mean, it's not beat around the bush. I mean, he's going to have somewhere between, I don't know, could always be your last fight, but 1 and 3 fights. I mean, that's the reality of the situation. So we've got to get it right. He's got to be 100%.
Furthermore, Eddie Hearn pointed out that Anthony Joshua is now seeking fights that truly have meaning for him, emphasizing that Joshua's eagerness to fight is no longer motivated by money or obligation, but by a genuine desire to prove himself. Hearn explained that Joshua's drive comes from his goal to become the undisputed heavyweight world champion once again. Eddie also revealed that Joshua is targeting 2 specific fights, one with Daniel Dubois and the other with Tyson Fury. While Tyson Fury has yet to make any official statement about a potential comeback, Eddie insisted that they are doing everything they can to make that fight happen. However, if these fights don't materialize as planned, Joshua will be willing to fight anyone. Eddie concluded by suggesting that in this pursuit, Joseph Parker is among the top contenders and is currently one of the hottest prospects for a potential matchup.
And it's also got to be a fight that means something to it. He's not fighting for the money. He's not fighting because he needs to. He's fighting because he wants to. He wants to challenge himself. He wants to be in big fights, and he wants to become world heavyweight champion again. And he'll be back. He'll be ready to go back end of the summer. But there's 2 fights for AJ that really stoke the fire. One is the rematch with Daniel Dubois, and the other one is Tyson Fury, which is out of our control at the moment. But you know, we hope that something can kick-start that fight. But that's down to Tyson. So if he doesn't fight one of those 2 guys, he has to fight someone. And he's going to want to fight someone in the top 10. And Joseph Parker right now is on one of the hottest runs.
Amid discussions about the undisputed heavyweight world title, the possibility of a fight between Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua has also been circulating. Eddie Hearn, speaking on the matter, blasted Jake Paul, asserting that he is simply looking for publicity stunts and a payday. He went on to note that Jake makes arguments that let people gossip about him, and he is very good at it. Adding more criticism, Hearn emphasized that Jake Paul is not even on the level to actually fight Anthony Joshua.
I think with Jake Paul wants to create those wild moments, you know, those huge spectacles that make people gasp. He also wants to make as much money as possible, and the AJ fight does both of those things. So it's very dangerous. You know, it's probably like a Southern area cruiserweight champion fighting Anthony Joshua. That's like the levels, you know.
As discussions about a potential fight with Jake Paul continued to gain attention, Eddie Hearn suggested that Anthony Joshua himself has no interest in such a bout, emphasizing that initially this fight was not being taken seriously. He pointed out that their primary focus has been on securing unification in heavyweight bouts, but since no opponent has been lined up for such fights, they may have to consider Jake Paul's call-out. While acknowledging that Jake Paul is a joke in comparison to Joshua's resume, Eddie clarified that fighting Jake Paul would purely be for financial reasons. Taking into account the potential for a lucrative payday, he confirmed that Anthony Joshua would be willing to fight Jake Paul.
But we haven't, you know, when we were world heavyweight champion, when he was world heavyweight champion, and we were going for undisputed and unified and all this kind of stuff, it wouldn't have even been a consideration. That's why the first time around, AJ had no interest in Ngannou because he just said, no, I just want to try and become undisputed. Now, we ain't even got an opponent. So would we fight Jake Paul for a load of money? Of course. Like, why? Be a sweet payday.
As Jake Paul's call-out has been widely viewed as a publicity stunt, Jamie Moore also weighed in on the matter. He asserted that Jake Paul is simply looking to make money and criticized his call-out, urging him not to engage in such acts. Moore pointed out that if money-making is the goal, there are plenty of other ways to do so outside of boxing. By calling out Anthony Joshua, Jake Paul has, in Moore's view, tarnished the integrity of the sport. With visible frustration, Moore blasted Jake, calling him a mental figure who resorts to such tactics solely for publicity. He emphasized that Paul's actions are disrespectful to the sport and its true athletes, and that real boxers are focused on meaningful competition, not gimmicks.
Come on. Mental. But Jake Paul, separately, nothing to do with this, I've just been saying, anyone who can make money out of boxing, I take my hat off to you and, go for it, because it's the hardest sport.
Further adding to his criticism, Moore went on to assert that if you're going to call out experienced fighters, you must first prove your skills, something he believes Jake Paul has yet to do. While admitting that Jake Paul has made noticeable improvements since entering boxing, gaining experience from multiple bouts and developing his game, Moore pointed out that he is still far less experienced compared to someone like Anthony Joshua. He labeled Jake Paul's call out of Joshua as sheer stupidity, questioning why Paul would willingly step into the ring to be obliterated by a far more seasoned and skilled fighter like Joshua. Moore emphasized that this kind of behavior shows a lack of respect for the sport and its genuine athletes.
Exactly that. Now, why would Jake Paul want to get absolutely obliterated by Anthony Joshua? And I'm not saying Jake Paul's not improved over the years, because he's been involved in boxing now for quite a few years, so you would expect he's getting some good experience under his belt. He hasn't fought that many boxers, but in terms of experience and developing and getting better, he's developing. But Anthony Joshua, come on, man.
The claim from the social media influencer turned pro boxer was met with backlash, with many fans finding it hard to take him seriously. Even his own brother Logan was left stunned, questioning whether Jake Paul was on drugs when he made the claim. Fast forward to this week, and in the latest episode of Logan's Impulsive podcast, the two are seen flying in Jake's private jet, where Logan approaches him to ask, "When you called out Anthony Joshua, were you on cocaine? Why did you do that?" When Jake responds, saying that Joshua's chin is gone, Logan replies, "But he's still Anthony Joshua." Jake responds again, saying that Joshua has become stiff, losing his skill and rhythm, now relying solely on his power. Logan then asks if a potential fight is even a viable option, to which Jake replies, "Yeah, in 2026, we already talked." Eddie Hearn has also shared his thoughts on the matter, emphasizing that if Jake Paul steps into the ring with Anthony Joshua, it would only end one way. Not only would he get knocked out, but his head would be detached from his neck. Hearn pointed out that if this is what the fans want, Joshua will certainly live up to their expectations. He expressed his frustration at hearing Jake Paul talk about fighting in 2026, stressing that if this fight is to happen, it should be as soon as possible for Jake to have any chance against Joshua. Hearn also noted that with the search still on for a top opponent in the heavyweight division and an undisputed world champion, fighting Jake Paul could provide a lucrative payday. This, according to Hearn, is likely why Joshua is considering the fight.
It's so dangerous. That's why you're into it, right? Because you're like, oh my God, if he hits Jake Paul, his head could actually detach from his neck. And that's the world we live in. And if it's what you want to see, I'm sure AJ will give you what you want. But I don't like the 2026, and there's no point even talking about it. Unless you're going to do it next, don't talk about it. If you want to do it next, we'll do it. AJ's not defending a belt. He's not trying to unify. He's not trying to become undisputed. We're looking for an opponent. And if it's Jake Paul, it's a massive payday and it's a straightforward job. So yeah, sign us up.
Eddie went on to assert that even if he himself were to step into the ring with Jake Paul, he wouldn't feel nervous at all. Instead, he confidently stated that he would be highly competitive against Jake Paul considering the age difference. Eddie mentioned that even if he were knocked out by Jake, he wouldn't be seriously hurt. On the other hand, if it were Anthony Joshua, Eddie admitted he would be concerned about the potential for serious injury. He pointed out that given this assumption, Jake Paul must realize he's in for a serious challenge if he faces Joshua. Eddie confidently concluded that fighting Jake Paul would mean taking on his chin and putting him to the test.
If I was walking into the ring to fight Jake Paul, I wouldn't be nervous.
You would beat Jake Paul?
No, I'm not saying I'd beat Jake Paul, but I wouldn't be nervous. I mean, I think I could probably be competitive. You think AJ going in against Jake Paul?
So you think you could be competitive with Jake Paul?
Probably, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I'm 18 stone, 17 and a half stone. I'm probably a little bit old. He'd probably knock me out, but I wouldn't walk in and go, oh my
Younger
God.
than Mike Tyson?
Put it this way. If I was walking in to fight AJ, I would be absolutely shitting my pants and worried for my life. If I was walking in to fight Jake Paul, I'll probably get chinned, but it ain't going to hurt too bad, is it? Let's be honest. And I might chin him.
Furthermore, Eddie stated that if Jake Paul enters the ring against Anthony Joshua, he might land dozens of shots on Joshua's chin, but none of them would be successful. He expressed respect for Jake for calling out Joshua and asserted that if Jake wants to fight and make good money, he should go for it. However, Eddie emphasized the dangers that Joshua's fight would bring to Jake Paul. He pointed out that Jake would be in for a huge upset and might face circumstances he hasn't even considered. Eddie confidently stated that Jake Paul wouldn't have favorable outcomes fighting Joshua, but added that the public would likely want to see him get beaten, which is exactly what he believes will happen.
Jake Paul could probably have a dozen or so free shots on AJ's chin, and it wouldn't even, but listen, respect to Jake. He wants to make the big moments. He'd make crazy money for that fight. If you want to do it, but understand the dangers of that fight. It ain't going to be pretty, but maybe people don't want pretty.
Moving on with negotiations for a potential fight between Fury and Joshua and speculation surrounding both Joshua and Fury's comebacks, the stakes are higher than usual. Some reports have suggested that Netflix is trying to secure the broadcasting rights for the fight to achieve great viewership. However, Eddie has denied all such claims circulating in this regard. He pointed out that Joshua is exclusively signed with DAZN, and there is no chance his fight would be aired on Netflix. While Eddie admitted that Netflix is a good platform and many fights have been broadcast with great results, he emphasized that at this time they have not engaged in any such deals and are not considering it as an option.
Netflix landed Taylor Serrano free, and there's interest in Joshua Fury from them. I know it's kind of hearsay and you get news with big outlets and big broadcasters involved, but if AJ's a DAZN ambassador,
AJ's with DAZN. AJ's exclusive to DAZN.
So if there was a ridiculous deal on the table, and I mean ridiculous,
AJ's exclusive to DAZN. So
it would only ever be a DAZN fight.
And that's a decision for DAZN. I mean, if there was a relationship with Netflix and DAZN, I don't know. I mean, but we're with DAZN. We're a DAZN ambassador. He's exclusive to DAZN, and that's the way it is. So, Netflix in boxing is amazing. MVP had done a brilliant job with that. Taylor Serrano is going to be huge, as was the first one, on the undercard of Tyson Paul. So I guess they're looking for those big moments, and there's nothing bigger than AJ against Fury. But right now we know that's not an option.
Well, there you have it. Fight fans. A roller coaster of revelations and exciting matchups ahead for Anthony Joshua. With Eddie Hearn confirming that 2025 could mark the final year of Joshua's boxing career, we've got so many questions on the horizon. Will the former champ find his redemption and return to the top, or is the best of AJ behind him? Let's not forget some of the unforgettable battles that lie ahead. Will Joshua get his revenge against Joseph Parker, or will we see the much anticipated showdown with Tyson Fury that the world has been waiting for? And with Jake Paul stepping into the ring with Joshua, could that finally be the fight to cement AJ's legacy? The 2025 season promises to deliver some epic moments, but will it be Joshua's final year on top? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure, it's going to be one heck of a ride. If you enjoyed today's breakdown, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any updates as we follow AJ's comeback journey and all the explosive fights ahead. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Where do you see Joshua in 2025?